Hello. So everybody has a head here? Thanks, Debbie. Debbie's sick, so I feel bad for Debbie. She sounds terrible. But anyway, I'm Rod Goodman, and like Debbie said, I'm a headshot photographer based in New York, and I'm just going to get right into my presentation. The first is just a bio video, so I don't have to talk. So there you go. The thing that I hear about my pictures from past clients and other people who look at my stuff is that they're not overly glamorized. They look like themselves. My name's Rod Goodman. I'm a New York-based headshot photographer. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I've been here since Valentine's Day of 2005. I have a wonderful photo studio. I'm on Park in 27th, and I have a cute dog, Tallulah, that's here just about all the time. My specialty is headshots for actors and corporate clients. Headshots is a very specific product, showing people as they are, but at the very best that they can be. Part of that comes from working with someone that you feel comfortable with, that you feel like you can come into a place and let your guard down and maybe make a fool of yourself a little bit sometimes. But I'll probably make a fool of myself first, so it's not that big of a deal. I truly do actually love what I do. I really enjoy the one-on-one aspect of working with people and to try to, get the best out of people that I can. And it's a skill, and it's an art, and I'm really good at it. I've been doing it a long time. How I got into photography was very simple. I quit my job and bought a camera. That's it. I quit my job and bought a camera. I was a mortgage broker. I was in the real estate business. It was all right, but I just wasn't happy, wasn't fulfilled. And I wanted to do something artistic with my life. I always liked looking at pictures. I never really used a camera. They always intimidated me. The 35 millimeter, the f-stops, always intimidated me. So I just proceeded to learn how to use a camera, and in doing so, I got hooked up with a wonderful instructor who was very passionate about what he did. And one of the things he said to me was, to all of us in this little class, today is the day that you'll never see the world the same way. Today. And he was right, and it's like all around us, the lighting and everything. If we didn't have light, we'd be walking around in darkness. So that's what photography is, painting with light. I went back to school and thought I'd be a photojournalist, and I was speaking with one of the photojournalists that was kind of a mentor of mine. We were really talking deep, and he said his job consisted of 99% of the stuff he did was bad. It was tough, 1% was great. Would you put your camera down and help somebody, or would you shoot it? And I'd probably put my camera down. So, not a good photojournalist, but I did enjoy doing portraits, and I always seemed to gravitate towards that. I was from LA, and I was like, actors need headshots. I could do that. It just clicked. It just felt right. I've been working on a project on subway performers. It's called the busker project. Busker is a term to perform publicly for donations. That's what it means. And I bring them up into my studio and we talk, and I shoot them playing, and then we talk some more, and I shoot a portrait of them and do a little interview. And there's a common thread in that I'm doing what drives me, my passion. Musicians and actors, they're doing what they do. They're driven by their passion. I'm able to mesh with these people really well because we're on the same wavelength. You're certainly more than welcome to call me. I like to do consultations. I think it's important for people to come and meet eye to eye. RodGoodmanPhoto.com. So that was my video. A couple things I just did. Whenever I watch this, I have to say. My mentor, he said 90% of his job was bad, not 99, and it always bothered me because I can't correct that. And my studio is now in Chelsea. I moved. That's another thing. And Tallulah, my dog, is semi-retired, so she doesn't come in every day anymore. So anyway, we're going to move on, and I have a tagline, and it's "Own Your Space." And what that means is there's a driving theme in my photography, I think in headshots particularly, that a subject needs to own their space and be comfortable where they're standing and be solid and be able to make eye contact and be strong. So own your space is pretty much sums up my philosophy of headshot taking. So, like the video said, I started out late in photography. I was 32 and I went back to school and got into photojournalism, and like it said, from there I met it was a very weird thing. I met this editor to a magazine. He took over this small magazine in LA called Casting Call. It was a very popular but small industry rag. And he went to my school and basically told the instructors that he was going to look for interns, but when he got us all together by himself, he said, okay guys, I don't know how to run a magazine, you're gonna do it for me. It's not an internship, you gotta run it. So I started working in this magazine doing these assignments, and I would get into these crazy things. And the very first assignment I did was Ricardo Montalban. I was like using a camera for like months. It was ridiculous. So what I learned though from shooting this guy was the power that we own, okay? And what I mean by that is, Ricardo Montalban, I don't know if you guys know this, but he had troubles with his legs in later life, and he used a walker, and he was like deteriorating when I shot him. And he was a very vain, proud man, so his walker was like so far, there was no way I was getting a picture of that walker. He made sure of that. But he was there, and his valet positioned him where we wanted him. And I would be taking pictures really fast, and this pain in his face would come over him, and he would go, wait, hold on, and he would like look down, breathe, and then he'd look up and boom. I mean, that guy's bringing it right there. That's real. He's in pain, but he's able to go beyond that, pull himself together and show himself, So from there it was like, wow, there's like power in that, So that really got me kind of excited to get more into doing portraits. So during this time, like I said, I was so new, and I was getting into these crazy situations. Like Ernie Hudson, I'm like shooting him. And what I learned from these people is everybody is the same. We're all insecure. We all have issues. We all have stuff. Nobody is like, except Ricardo Montalban. He was pretty cool. Bryan Cranston. Todd Bridges, Armin Shimmerman from Deep Space Nine or whatever. I don't watch that stuff. So this is like a real heavy from horror films. So from there, I started to use my camera to make money. And one of the first things I did was I found an editorial stock agency called Shooting Star. And what they did is they sold editorial stock to magazines. It was in the heyday when things were actually selling, when you could actually kind of make a living doing that. So they wanted me to do like red carpet stuff, and I didn't really like that. I did a few of them, but I wanted to do like concerts, stuff that was interesting to me. So there's a lot less money in it, but I started to do concerts for a while. This was my first concert, was Elton John, which was very cool. He was very exciting to see, growing up hearing, all his music and being there, and it was pretty powerful. First experience. And David Bowie and Taj Mahal, Gwen Stefani from No Doubt. I shot that with a Holga, by the way. So from there, while I was working in LA doing that, I started to learn headshots formally at a photography studio that did headshots. He was brilliant. And then from there, I decided to go on my own and do my own business. And I started doing headshots and eventually moved to New York, where I am now. I've been here since 2005. I'm celebrating my 21st year in business, so my business is old enough to drink. So when I moved to New York, aside from starting up a business here from scratch, basically, because when you go from you think you're going to go to one coast to another and just go, boom, I'm going to hit the right. Yeah, it didn't work that way. It's a little tough. But I started to do a personal project, and I think that it's really important for people, if you're making a living with your camera, to do a personal project. Even if you're not making a living with your camera, it's great to do personal projects, but especially when you're making a living with a camera, because with a personal project, you get to do whatever you want. Because any other time I hold my camera, I'm being paid by somebody, So it's a little bit different psychology when you don't have to answer to the person who I'm shooting, really, honestly. Because my business is really one-on-one with clients. So these are some of my buskers that I've shot over time, and they're really great people, and I really suggest that, if you see someone you like, look at them and smile at least, even if you don't give them money, because they're really some incredible people, really. So now I'm going to get into, so that was my background. So now I'm going to get into kind of like parts of the headshot business. The first is being equipment, because everybody needs equipment, right? And everybody loves to talk equipment. We're here in B&H, and you got to love B&H, which I bought everything at from B&H here. So basically, I use Canon. I use the Mark III now, not the Mark II. My go-to lens is the 70-200 2.8 and the 85 1.2. Those are pretty much the lenses that I use. A 70-200 2.8. The 85 is a 1.2. It's that really fast one. It's a beautiful lens. So those are the two that I use predominantly. Most of the time I shoot at f5.6, you know, or f8. With the 85, sometimes I'll go down to 2.8, because it's with the 85 millimeter at 2.8, it's really sharp, and still very shallow. So it's really cool. The lighting system I use is white lightning, because I got it 23 years ago, and they're still working, and and they're great. I love them. Gitzo tripod. I use a Gitzo that I bought about 20 some odd years ago as well. I was burning through tripods, and I was like, screw this. I'm going to go spend $1,500 on a tripod and never buy one again. And I do, and I love it. And that's what I have. It's a brick. It's huge. It's a ton. The other really important thing I use for my workflow is a Wacom tablet. That is revolutionary in what I do. If you guys use Photoshop and you're not on a tablet, when you do, it'll be like, oh my God, what was I doing this whole time? You were like working with a brick. You know what I mean? Like, the tablet is crazy. It's so beautiful product, and I'll show you that later. So, what makes a successful headshot? I love this, like, okay. What makes a successful headshot really is you know, headshots are a product. You know, they are a portrait. It's a portrait, but it's a very specific portrait. You know what I mean? It's not a portrait, it's a headshot, you know? Some people look down on that, you know, like, oh, you're a headshot photographer, you know, like, it's just a headshot. Anybody can make a headshot, but everybody can't make a headshot. Anybody can do it, but to do it well, it's just like anything else, you know, you got to learn how to do it, you know. So what I've found through the years is I personally like eye contact. Some people, you know, some photographers like looking off and stuff like that. I like the power of the eye contact, because we're human animals, and that's how we communicate very strongly with our eyes. Another big factor in a successful headshot is like being relaxed with your muscles, you know, like your face, your body, even your mind, you know, because our minds are really strong. We have very big, powerful brains. We're only using, what, like 10% of them? And, you know, when you're shooting somebody, we have thoughts going in and out of our head constantly. You hear something, you smell something, you think something. I mean, it's just constant. We're just always like that. So even though people think that they're doing the same thing when I'm shooting them, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. They're gonna all look the same. They don't. They by far do not, you know? So I try to let my clients understand that they don't have to do big stuff. They don't have to, they don't have to do stuff like that. They just need to own their space and connect, and that's it. The other big part of a successful headshots is subtext. And, you know, subtext is like having thoughts in your head, right? Having complex thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Like for instance, I have never in my professional life said to a client, whether they're 5 or 90, smile. Like, I don't say that word. That's like the worst word to say. You know what I mean? Because it just locks people up, and they start to think, smile. Okay? Because when we're kids, it's like our parents did that to us, and we're all scarred from that, you know? So I don't say smile, because it makes people, it freezes people up. You know what I mean? mean? So what I will say instead to somebody, instead of smile, is like, for instance, I'll tell somebody, a corporate client, because my business is corporate and actors, I'll tell a corporate client, because a lot of times corporate clients will be like, what do I do? What do I do? How big should I smile? And it's like, forget smiling, you know what I mean? First of all, you are who you are, so you bring to who you are to the table. So who am I to tell you to smile? You might not be a smiley person. You might be a very intense person. Why am I going to make you smile, you know? So I want people to be true to themselves. So to get the complexity, I give them thoughts like, you know, instead of smile, show me your worth, show me your value, show me what you bring to the table. Think about when you meet a client for the first time and you reach in and shake their hand. You look in their eye, you shake their hand, you say, hey, how are you? That's the energy that you want to have across for a corporate client. So it's not as linear as just going, now smile, now, no less, no teeth. It doesn't work that way for me. I'm a little more visceral in the way I shoot, and I like to have people think a little bit, sort of. And what I mean by sort of is you don't want them thinking internally, because that's called going inside your head. And that's a very big thing for people to do when they're having their photograph taken, is freeze up and start to think like, oh wait, if I smile too big, my eyes get small. Okay, don't smile too big. Don't make my face, let my ears get big and my nose spreads. You know, people trip out on themselves. So my job is to get their mind off of that. Which is why in the video it says sometimes I make a fool of myself, because sometimes I have to. And that's cool. The other thing is a nondescript background. You know, we live in New York City. We can go shoot anywhere here. It's a beautiful city, you know. But my business, my clients don't want to see a background. They may think they want to, but really they don't. They want to see themselves first. Because when you look at a picture, someone looks at a picture, a headshot, for like 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Think about when you go online and you go to a company, you know, you go to an accountant, you look at the picture, boom, you're done. You know what I mean? We make snap judgments on really fast. The other thing is layers and personality, which I kind of touched on already, in that, you know, the layers and personality to me is like, you know, like for instance, me, you know, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a lover, I'm a friend, you know, I'm a brother. I'm not just a photographer, I'm a lot of things. And I bring that with me everywhere I go. And we all do that. And that's what layers and personality is like, the best way I could explain it is like, look at any picture of Marilyn Monroe. I mean, that is a layer of personality. She's got everything going on all at once. She's tragic, she's sexy, you want to protect her, you want to sleep with her. I mean, it's all at one time. She's aces on the layers of personality. Where am I? Let's see here. So now, so the difference, I'm going to show you right out of my camera some pictures to demonstrate the subtlety of headshot photography. So, you know, the difference between a good headshot and a great one is really literally a fraction. I mean, it's a hair. Excuse me, and I'll show you what I mean. So this first one is a string of 4 pictures out of the camera, right? I'm going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my perception. So I could be wrong, but this is my perception. The first one, she looks zoned out. She's kind of staring at me. I don't like that, right? The second one, her chin's down a little too low. It's a little too contrived for me, right? The third one, if you look very carefully, her mouth is a little squeezed. And then the fourth one is the one I like. It's soft, it's neutral, it fits who she's trying to say she is there. You know what I mean? The next one is this lady here, just came to me not too long ago. It's a nice smile, right? But when you see what a real smile looks like, the next frame after, I mean, look at the difference. You see that? I see it, it's huge. It's like monstrous. That's fake. And that's real. Her eyes are lit up. She's got life. There's something going on. The thing with what I do is I have to kind of go with their flow, but then when I go with their flow, I get to maybe go with my flow. And what I mean by that is she's a lady, you'd never guess this, she's in her late 70s. this lady right here. She wanted to be like, kind of have that elder statesman kind of thing going, right? So we actually finished the shoot. She got dressed, and I was like, check you out, man. You're cool. I want to take a picture of you like that. And that's it. And this is what we ended up using. And this is her. Like, that's really her. She's like, oh my God, you captured me. That's me. And so it's like, sometimes you have to go outside of the script. Do you know what I mean? And you look at you just, it happens a lot with me. When I see something I like, I sit down on the floor, let's take some pictures. This young lady, and these aren't retouched, they're straight out of the camera, so I know their hair is all crazy. I'm just showing you for the face. So this is the first one, which is nice, but when she turns her face right at me, boy, it really locks in, doesn't it? Look at that, look at her eyes, boom. See that? Look at her mouth, boom. Pretty crazy, huh? And the next one, this is very pretty. She's a very attractive young lady, right? But when she straightens up, because we all kind of do the same things, when she straightens up and when she straightens up, watch, boom. Look at her chin. See how it sharpens up? Because the first one, she's actually like this. I'm exaggerating, but we stand like that a lot, people. So this is a great example of corporate, right? Corporate people, they're like used to being photographed by HR. Stand here and take your picture, right? So they always do the same thing. They're always like this. Or like this. Because it feels real good. It feels good to be like, yeah, that's right. I'm tough. That's right. But it looks like crap, right? So I have to break these people out of this, right? And that means they have to trust me, right? And that means that I have to put them in a situation that might be a little uncomfortable for them, right? So watch, this is the next shot, boom. And what I did is people stand like this a lot, especially men, right? So the first thing I'll say to somebody is just, first of all, relax, don't stand at attention, and then just lean in. See what I just did? See, I'm leaning in. It's just a little lean in. So that's all he's doing is leaning in a little bit. It feels very weird. People aren't used to it. So they're like, are you sure this is okay? Feels really, because it feels like they're going like this, And then I show them and they're like, oh, wow. Because look at the shape of his face. That's just not right. That's wrong. That's not the way he looks. It's not wrong. That's the way he looks. That's the structure of his face, not that. So my corporate work, I bring the aesthetics of my actors to my corporate work. That's what I think sets me apart from other people. Same with this guy, right? So he's standing there all at attention, but then when I snapped him out of it and got him to trust me, got him forward. And not only that, but if you look, he's holding his jacket so hard like this, because it was just like, it was really tight. His jacket was really tight. So I was like, dude, hold your jacket, lean in, come on, buddy, come on, So that's it. But look, come on. I mean, it's crazy. That's a different person. He's a heavy set man like me, but that's big, and that's much better. That's more realistic. Actors do it too, they like to stand tall and hard, but then just boom, just like that, it's transformative. That right there is just like, that's the biggest tip I think I can give you guys is when you're photographing someone, make sure their energy is coming to you, make sure their energy is coming to you. Energy meaning, that they're coming at me, at you. Another thing about what I do is tension. I think I touched on that before. Tension, we carry tension so much. We all do. We carry it in our shoulders, we carry it in our mouths, we carry it in our jaw, we carry it everywhere, right? A very big one is mouths, right? So people have a really hard time with their mouths. So I was shooting this young lady, Felicia, and you see her mouth? Well, that gets really old after you shoot that over and over again and it's not changing, and you know what I mean? So it's like you, as the professional, I have to address that, okay? So now I have to have a talk with her. I can't just pretend it's not happening. You know what I mean? We have to talk about this. So, because the first thing I did was just try loosening up. She go, because when you, this is another great tip, people, when you're shooting someone, just tell them to make a motorboat noise. And they'll do it, and they'll go like this. I can't do it. Then do it. Relax until you can do it. Make it happen, you know? And then people do it, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. My mouth was tight. So it's like a cue, you know, a physical cue. Oh, okay, there, my mouth, you know, if they try to do it. So when I'm shooting with people, a lot of times I don't talk. A lot of times I'll just go, and they see, oh, okay. Yeah. I mirror people a lot. Mirroring is a very important part of what I do. It's an important part of sales, actually, people. So her mouth. So here's, you know, squirrely mouth. So then after the blowing and this and that, then I was like, okay, now I have to talk with her, you know? So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll say, think about in your normal life, is your mouth open when you're just hanging out? Like, you know? And most of the times when people have these mouths issues, they'll say, yeah, it is. So what they're doing is, I'm taking the picture and they're going, okay, close my mouth. And they close it, you know? So when I give someone permission to not do that, just let it relax, just like open, you know what I mean? Then they go, oh, okay, so I don't need to do that, it's okay. And then, and she had a great smile, like her smile was like nothing. Like some people can smile for days and they can't be serious, and vice versa. So after I realized that was the issue, we had that talk, I gave her the permission, and then things changed. You know, she was able to be more relaxed, you know, with her face, and you could see that. It may be not the best picture, but she's, you know, her mouth is a lot better there, you know? And she was a tough shoot. So I also, another technique I'll use with people when I see that they're getting starey at me is I'll say, look down and breathe, you know? And then when you're ready, look up. And they look up when they're ready. Another one is looking away, you know, because people get starey. So look away, look around, look up, you know, come back, you know? So all these little techniques, it's like pushing people's buttons to find out what works for them, you know? And this is the one she ended up using, which I think is lovely. It has, you know, it has a nice, relaxed feel, good, strong eye contact. It's a great shot. Shows her body off really well. Another one, you know, another of these, and it's just like one boom. You're just, it's so easy to transform a HR picture into a real dynamic shot just by that little technique. Same with this, you know, resting in the back of their head. People do that a lot, you know? So a lot of times I'll say, you know, pretend I have a string, I'm pulling you up, you know? So a lot of stuff I do is like physical, like pull up, come on forward, you know? But when she comes forward, you can see her eyes change and everything. Look at that. It's pretty incredible. You guys see this, right? It's not just me. You guys see this, right? Yeah, okay, good. Because anyway, same with this guy, right? And he was really hard. He was stuck. He was like, he didn't want to listen to me. You know, he was kept doing that, you know? And finally, I made him listen to me. But in the end, I mean, come on, look, it's crazy. It's like a different person. Staring. People stare. People stare, people hold their breath. He's staring and he's holding his breath. I know he's holding his breath. I could see it. I could see it. He's holding his breath. And when I see that, I say to somebody, you holding your breath? They're like, yeah, I'm holding my breath. How'd you know that? He's holding his breath. He's staring, you know? So another thing I'll do with a guy is I might say, focus in at me. Focus in a little bit, you know? And they focus in. He pushed it a little hard. We did through the shoot, we tried to temper that and not as much, you know? But after he does that, he laughs at himself because he feels like an idiot, because we always laugh at ourselves because we're always beating ourselves up, right? then he laughs at himself, and then the last picture is, okay, that's a good, it's not my favorite picture, but I wanted to show you how that little exchange led to something where his mouth is relaxed, he's breathing, he's connected, he's a little starey for me, but that's just me. So, go ahead, you're breaking the rules, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just noticing the full, like that he's more of his body is showing.
Yeah.
And for a typical headshot, do you have a preference?
So that's a good question. A headshot doesn't mean a shot of your head, people, just so you know that. It's a product. So a headshot, it could be a 3/4 shot too. So, and I chose to do that because he had tattoos and he wanted to, he didn't want to hide them. So you get tattoos, you got to kind of get the 3/4.
Break the rules too quick.
Okay, hurry up.
What's your camera height when you're taking these?
My camera, with this guy?
Yeah, with most of them. Where
Everything you know what? That's a good question, and everything changes. It depends on the person. Yeah. So on this guy, I was standing. So I was standing, and he was down about like that. He was sitting on my radiator. This young lady. So just watch what happens. The tone of the picture. It's so subtle, but it's so big. From this to that, right? It's like one is stronger and one is a little more demure, And it's the same. I mean, it's one picture after the other. It was like boom, boom, But it was just like, now lower your chin, now breathe, and then click, So they're two totally different pictures, and she felt like she's doing the same thing, but they're not the same pictures by all means. Same girl. Another thing I try to watch out for is shoulders, especially on women. Women like to, it's not that bad with her, but, get comfortable and they slouch forward. So a lot of times what I'll tell somebody to do, mostly women, because you want that nice shape and is roll your shoulders back, And it feels like you're pushing your chest up, but that's okay because we're not seeing that. We're just seeing I only see what's in front of me, right? So it's a one-dimension item we're talking about. So if someone is like this, and I shot them from the side, you'd see them like this. But if I'm shooting them from the front, it looks really pretty and really nice, and you can't tell they're doing that because look, see? Look at her shoulder. It gives her a lot more strength. It's just more geometric. It just feels better looking at it to me, So that's a big one. Another good tip is if people are having a hard time doing that, put your palms out. Put your palms out. When you're standing up, if you put your palms out, you can kind of feel your muscles go. You can feel that right here, So yeah, I'll have people stand like this sometimes. Because it looks good. So this is Thomas. Thomas came to me when he was 2.5, right? I'm just going to tell you a really cool story. This has nothing to do with anything but a really cool story. So Thomas came to me, he was 2.5. He just came back to me maybe 6 months ago. And he's 7.5 now, right? So I was like, Thomas, what happened? Where you been, man? It's a long time for an update. And his father says, well, Thomas had a little problem. Thomas was sick. Thomas had cancer. And he says, but Thomas, tell him what we did. He goes, I beat cancer. Kid beat cancer. And there he is. So everybody, be like Thomas. Oh, gosh. Stories like that are just what makes, my job is like the best job in the world because it's so cool to run across a complex being like that, and he's 7, Complex beings come in all ages, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter, it's pretty cool. So now I'm going to go into some lighting scenarios, typically of what I might do in a shoot. So With headshots, a big style of lighting is the clamshell lighting. The light on the top and a reflector on the bottom. It's very clean. It's very flattering. I use it a lot when I use studio light. Now in my new studio, it's predominantly natural light, so I use a lot of natural light now. But this is basically, I use an extra large softbox on the top with a reflector underneath, and the lights in the background are in my studio, just lighting it up so it's not dark, and that's what that looks like, is like that. Typical clamshell lighting with the 2 catch lights. Very clean, very, you know. Another one is the window background. The window background is something I do on corporate shoots a lot because in today's world, a lot of corporations don't want those staid, old-fashioned, gray backdrop pictures. They want something that's cooler, you know? So look for a window and shoot out of it, you know? So a lot of times I'll have the client in front of a window with the window in the background, and that's what this scenario is. So again, depending on if it's, sometimes with corporate, I'll move I'll move the light to change the directionality of it to shadow up the guy up a little bit if it's a man. But generally, that's how I shoot. I like flat light. And that's what that looks like. And we control the background, you know, with your shutter speed and your ISO. So how you get that is you meter outside, and you find what the exposure is outside, and then you get the background to where you like it. You're like, okay, I'm at ISO 200, 5.6 at 90th of a second. That gives you a nice background. Then you put your light, you know, you set your light up to match that light if you want it to be 1-to-1 ratio. The next one is natural light. Natural light sounds so easy, right? Natural light, oh, it's so easy. Natural light. Yeah, now. Natural light is harder than studio light. Natural light is really difficult to master. I'm still learning myself. It's like constantly learning. But generally, you just try to have a window behind you, you know, and have the person in front of you. That's pretty flat, or you can move. If this is the window, this would be flat lighting. This would be a little more, you know, a little more directional. Throw a reflector over here. Looks really good. And that's very flat, clean, natural lighting. Okay, moving. Wow, we're really doing good. Excuse me. I'm gonna take my, take a politician sipping drink. It's very difficult to do this in public, let me tell you. Now I should just drop it, right? Okay. So, retouching. Does everybody know Photoshop here? Or I should do a thing with hands. Everybody's like, who knows Photoshop? Okay, all right, about a third. Okay. Well, prepare to be even more confused. So here's my retouching before and after. Retouching is a funny thing, you know, because you have the client you're dealing with and you have your own aesthetics, you know, and sometimes they don't match up and you have to stand your ground. Like removing bags and, you know, it's like I'm very touchy and get crazy about that stuff. But so, okay, so this is my before and this is my after. So basically I just kind of popped her eyes and cleaned up her skin a little bit, specularity, what have you, you can see, right? Same with this young lady. The color was off. There's a weird thing in the background, so I just cleaned that up. People have droopy eyes. It's part of our faces. A good tip when you're shooting someone who has a droopy eye is to ask them straight up, do you feel that? Can you feel that? Because some people can feel like, oh, when I get tired, my eye droops, and I can feel it. Other people, it's just part of their face. So when someone says, yeah, I could feel it when I get tired or stressed, I'm like, okay, good. So now I know they can feel it, so they can control it a little bit. So I'll tell them to push their eyes at me. Push them big. Stretch your face, make them real big, and then let go, you know? And then shoot. That's when someone can control it. When someone can't control it and it's part of their face, there's nothing you can do. It's just, it is what it is. That's how this guy was, right? So I wanted to fix it a little bit because it just felt a little too much for me. But I didn't want to make him perfect. So I just opened it up just so, look. And I took I took down the little fat part underneath there, and I took down the stress vein up here, so you could see. Opened up a little bit, and I made the catch light just a teeny bit bigger. So, and he didn't even know I did anything. I don't tell people. I don't let my clients sit with me when I retouch. I don't want suggestions from them. I do what I do, and then I send it to them, and they okay it, or they don't. If they don't, they need to tell me what's wrong, and then we'll deal with it from there. The idea is to keep them natural. You want it to be believable. So, I mean, it's really not that much, but it's something. Cleaned up around here. A lot of times when I go on site at a corporation, this is a corporate shoot, I don't have a makeup artist, so I have to deal with what is in front of me. And she had hot spots, and there's nothing I could do about it but shoot it. So I figured, well, I'll just retouch it, And so that's what I did. So I didn't take it away, but I lessened it a lot. Eye bags, we all have eye bags because eye bags are a mechanical part of our face, So when people bristle at seeing their eye bags, remind them that it's a fact of anatomy that when you smile, your cheeks push up against your eyelids, against your eye sockets, and it makes that. You can't not have that. So people freak out when they see it themselves, but it's like a big part of what I do is managing people's expectations. That's a big part of my job. So I didn't show you the after. Oops, okay. That's the after. So you can see I didn't take her bags away. I just lessened them up a little bit. So they're still there. This is Looney, and you can see here I didn't do much except she looked real ashy out of my camera, so I just kind of, see? I mean, there's not much. You guys can see, right? It's just a lot of my Photoshop that I do is with layer masks, like layer masks, a ton of them. A lot of men and women have red in their faces. Can you see it? Yeah, you can kind of see it, yeah. Plus his shirt was a little fakaked, so we fixed that. So I took the red out of his face and fixed his shirt. And this is Ryan. Ryan has oily skin, so I had to deal with it. A good tip for oily skin is to go get some toilet paper, rub it, and tell them to go bep, 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 because the dust from the toilet paper, it's like an old model's trick. It helps a little bit. It didn't help him. So I had to retouch it. So that's the after. You can see it's not that big of a difference, but it's definitely not as hard-edged, And this is Anna. A lot of my clients I get to see grow up. Like I shot Anna when she was a kid. Now she's like 20, It's pretty cool. Now Anna's all grown up now. So what I did with Anna was I slimmed her arm a little bit because I think that she was standing, it wasn't representative of her body because she's not that, she's that. You know what I mean? So I felt the need to thin up her arm because I should have had her maybe get her arm off of her body instead of like that, but I was kind of in the moment. So it squished and I didn't like it, so I took it in a little bit. Makeup. So, makeup artists. People ask, do you have a makeup artist? Yes, I have a makeup artist. When someone books with me, it is not in my agenda to have them book my makeup artist. What's important to me is that they're comfortable. Some people are not comfortable having their makeup applied by someone else. They don't care how experienced they are, they don't want it. So I'm not going to push it. If they don't want it, fine, right? So this lady came all the way from Washington, D.C. to shoot with me. And she came in, and I looked at her makeup, and I was like, that's really heavy, And that's all I said. And we shot it, and she was mortified at herself. So we rescheduled, and she came back about a month later, and she hired my makeup artist. And this is the difference. This is straight out of the camera too. So it's very masky. You see that? There's no contour. The lip color's crazy. You don't, with makeup you do lips or you do eyes. You don't do both, right? So she's got the eyes and the lips. It's just not good. And it's too matte. There's no contouring. It's bad. This is a lot better. It's a lot more natural. Headshot makeup is supposed to look natural. And then this is the retouched image right there, which looks kind of, yeah. So I basically just put some specularity in her skin so it wasn't so dull, you know, see? So that's the retouched image. This is Izzy. I shot Izzy like 3 times. She came to me when she was 7. This is another really cool story. Izzy wanted to be an actor. Izzy was in like dance class, you know, she's 7, right? So she's not 7 here. She wants to get headshots and be an actor. It's all on her, it was all her focus. Her mom was just following along. Okay, we'll get a headshot. She came to me, she's 7 years old. She's the cutest, like impy little thing, right? Big teeth, and just so cute, right? So we get these pictures, right? And that was it. And then maybe like 6 months later, her mom calls me and says, I just want to let you know what happened with Izzy after we did the pictures. Izzy found a casting call for Billy Elliot and wanted to go on that casting call. And the mom's from the city. The mom knows this. She's like, honey, they do open calls for kids. There's going to be 8 million kids there. You're not going to, you know, chances are you're not even going to be seen. She's like, Mom, I want to do this. I want to do it. So she went and she got a call back. And then she got another call back. And then she sat with the producers and they got another call back. And then she got a part. And she got a part in Billy Elliot. And she was in Billy Elliot until this. She was in Billy Elliot for like 8 years. She grew up in Billy Elliot. She started as a background dancer. She ended up being like Billy Elliot's love interest. I never saw it, like a girlfriend or something. So the mom goes, she got a part in Billy Elliot. And I'm like, honey, do you understand that, you know, she's signing the contract. She's like, now, before we sign, do you understand that you're doing 8 shows a week and that's it? You can't say no, you can't be sick. Are you ready for this? And the kid looks at the mom and goes, Mom, I was born for this. She's 7. And then she came back, she's about 13 here. She was off of Billy Elliot by then, I think, and busy as heck and doing all sorts of she's a wonderful kid, writing and just writing, she's awesome. So this is her little before, and that's her after. I just fixed up her clothes. I just want to tell you the story because it's like, these are the stories that make my job so awesome. So this is a woman of a certain age. So you don't want to I don't want to make a mask on somebody. So it's very important that they look, you know, realistic. So a lot of what I do, like I said, is just like getting specularity in people's skin because, you know, raw files are pretty dull. You got to give them life. Like reflection on their skin, you know, as opposed, see? This is Welton. Welton just shot with me. Welton's an underwear model. That dude, wow, he's like ripped. Great shape. So that's my before, and that's my after. I just cleaned up his skin a little bit, cleaned up the background very little bit, and that's about it. Same with this guy, you know, his eyes seemed a little wonky to me, so I just lit him up, put some lights in there, boom. And same with this lady too. So no makeup, right? Or her own makeup. It's all hot on her forehead, down her nose. So I fixed that, and I also filled in her hair. See? And the color temperature in the back I changed a little bit. This was from a corporate shoot I did. I did 25 people like this. So, is that it? Everybody be like Thomas. So that's it. So now we're going to Yeah, I'm good. Okay, I got confused. So now we're going to go into Photoshop.
Should we save questions to the end?
I'll take a few questions.
I've got a lot.
I'm going to take 3 questions.
I noticed on the corporate shoots, you kind of like, it's allowed to have those, instead of just like a gray background, a natural background at the site you're at. And I've seen it's consistently, you blur out the background.
I do.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you take like a 2.8 or a 1.8.
I usually shoot at 5.6. Like, yeah, I'm pretty constant on that. But it's that really depends on what the client wants. They actually, that company that you saw with the horizontal with that background was they're a British company, so they were trying to match what they did in Britain.
And more times than not, they want the background blurred to make the subject stick out in the face.
They don't know. They don't know what they want. That's what I do. Yes. You'll be next. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you ever green screen, like put the background they want for them?
No, that'd be cool though, huh? It seems like opening up a big can of worms though. I have a client that they have many satellite offices, so I just took a picture of the background of out the window, and gave it to them. I sold it to them actually. Get money for everything, people. They're using, you know what I mean? So I don't do green screen, but I have done that, like shoot the background so they can have it to put it in later.
In terms of timing, how much do you allow for each corporate headshot?
That's a really good question.
You've got consistent lighting, which is relatively straightforward, but I found myself on multiple occasions having to make massive adjustments.
Between client to client?
Height, I've tried sitting them on stools, I've tried adjusting with that daylight background. So
Yeah.
as the light temperature changes throughout the day.
Well, that is a problem as the light changes. You do, yes. So if you're trying to keep consistent, when you're using a natural backdrop like that, it's really difficult because the sun's shifting. It's always changing. So the background is difficult as it is. So.
I've tried everything from 20 minutes to half an hour, but there's no second it's going to sit for half an hour. So what do you
20 minutes? Oh, no way, man. I usually, like I just did about 6 months ago, I did the new school. I did their professors. I did 100 professors in 2 days. Think about that. I did 100 professors in 2 days. That was around maybe 6 minutes a person, That's a long time. 6 minutes is a lot of time. It really is, I can get a lot done in 6 minutes. So usually I tell corporate clients when it's like a big shoot like that I can do 6 to 8 people an hour. That's like a good thing for me. Yeah, people don't want to sit for 20. They want to kill themselves. So yeah, I try to get them in and out real fast. Okay, now we're going to go on to Photoshop. Let's see here. So what are we going to do? So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to deal with red faces. People have a lot of red in their face. So so this is a little complicated. So I do frequency separation. Okay. Does anybody know what frequency separation is? So basically, frequency separation is you're separating the image into the above layer and the below layer. The above layer is like the color, and the tonality of the photo, and then underneath layer is the texture, the texture, right? So frequency separation, you're separating those two frequencies out. So now you can work on the color layer without affecting the texture. You can work on the texture layer without affecting the color. So it's really awesome. It's crazy. It is a very overdone technique. When you look at magazines and you see that blown out like creamy skin, that's frequency. That's like frequency separation, and it's really overused. I use it in a different way. I don't make people's skin perfect. I've discovered a different way to use frequency separation. So I'm going to do it now. At home, I have everything on actions, so I got to fumble through making. So basically, what you do to do frequency separation is you pull your image up, and then you duplicate the background layer twice. So that's Apple J, Apple J, Apple J, right? Then you shut off the top layer. You turn on layer 1, right? Then you go over to filter, and you go to blur. Oops. And you go to Gaussian blur. And 1.7 is good. That's fine. A low number on your Gaussian blur. And then you go to the second layer and you turn that back on, and you go to the blending mode and you go down to linear light. And then you go to apply image. Does everybody know what apply image is? Does anybody know what apply image is? Yeah, good, cool, okay, good. It's a huge, so like I said, Photoshop really is about masks. And when you can figure out how to have Photoshop do the work for you, why not, you know? So when you figure out ways of letting Photoshop do your work for you, it's pretty awesome, and I'll show you what I mean. So then you go to apply image, and the layer, you don't want the merged layer. You want to affect, because I'm on the top layer, right? I want to affect the bottom layer, layer 1, right? So that's what I do there. Then I click invert, and I have my blending mode at add, my scale at 2, and offset at 0, and opacity at 100. This is for a 16-bit file, because I work in 16-bit, okay? If you use 8-bit, then you go subtract, and you change this to 128, okay? But I have 16-bit. So basically what you'll see is it did nothing, right? There's no change, right? But what it did is it split the layer, it split the image in two, and I'll show you what I mean. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to, whoops, oh. We're going to add a new layer. What am I going to do first? So what I would normally do, come on. What I normally do is start with the image with the tone and not the texture. So I'm starting with the tone of the picture. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this hot spot, right? So I take a brush, take your brush, that's B, and then my flow, I use a brush at around 10%, and soft is good, okay. And then I sample, oops, right about like in a darker area, but not too dark. And then we just paint, okay. So that looks really crappy. So what you do is, there's another cool thing called blend if, okay? And if you go to your layer that you just did and you double click it, boom, 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 there you go. You have these blend if. These are huge, people. And if you just push them around, you'll see, or will you? See? It's like, it's not good. But you can split these sliders, okay? And by splitting them, you're focusing your blending really, really sharp. Watch what happens. So by pushing down the Option key, see, I just split that slider. Watch what happens to his skin. You see it blend out a little bit? Now I'll take the black point away so it's not going into his eyebrows, and we'll go like that. Now look at the difference there. Or wait, actually. Let me go back, hold on. I want to see history. There we go. So, there we go. So watch the hot spot. That's not blended, and then this is with blend if. See, there's a difference. And then I will knock down the opacity. So, see what I did there? Okay. The next thing I would do, I'm going to show you a way to lessen, whoops, God, I keep doing that. To lessen the bags under the eyes, because these are HD cameras and they're high def. That's what it stands for, is high def. So it's very hyper real, right? So a lot of times you got to knock this stuff down to make it look more real. So what I'll do is I'll take my healing brush and I'll go to lighten, and I'm still on the underlying layer. I haven't moved to the other layer yet. And hardness, that's too hard. I like a soft brush. And then I sample underneath the light part in lighten mode and just go. And in lighten mode, it's just taking anything darker and lightening it. And that's very heavy-handed. So then I will back up. So maybe there, maybe a little more. See? So they're still there, but it just took the edge off of them a little bit, so they're not so shadowy. The next thing I'll do, this is a really cool one. I'm gonna, see how his lip is red? See that? Well, we're gonna fix that right now. And how we're gonna do that is, we're gonna take an adjustment layer, and we're gonna take hue and saturation, right? And I'm still on the underlying layer, because I don't really need to affect his texture of his skin to get rid of the red. I just need to go underneath his skin. So then I will go to the red channel, okay? Now to be able to see what I'm doing in the red channel, I'm gonna pump up the saturation. So now basically I just super saturated all the red in the picture. So you can see wherever there's red, you can see their blue shirt has none, right? So that's a lot of red. So now I will take this slider down here. See this, people? And I'm gonna slide this slider down until the red is only affecting what I wanna change. That's pretty good, right? So now we'll go back to 0 and watch what happens. I could do it really far, see? You can see how, right? So I'm gonna suck that green out, or that red out. That's pretty good. So, whoops, that's a little too much. Then, I don't want to mess up his lips, so, because his lips should be red. So I will take, where are we? Where's my, how come I can't see that? Let's see. Where's the color? Oops. No. Hold on, sorry people. Isn't this fun? There we go. So now I'm taking away that effect on his lips, because I don't want to make his lips green. There, I just sucked the red out of his face in the places that I want it to be affected. See, right? That's where the red, he had red in his eyes. He had a lot more red on his face than just his upper lip. And I might bump up the saturation just a teeny bit. So there, I just took the red out of that guy's face. And so it looks natural, but it looks way better. So the next thing I would do is look to see if he needs anything retouched on his face. Because I'm going to go to the, oh, wait, here's another cool trick. We all have like these neck rings, right? Neck rings bring nothing to the party. We don't need them. We'll just get rid of them. You know what I mean? Because what? What do you need that for? So what I'll do is in the underlying layer still, I'll take a healing brush in lighten because those are dark, right? So I'll sample the light part and I'll go rip, and I'll get rid of them just like so. There, just like that. See, pretty good. Then, now I'm going to go to the above layer. So this is the texture layer. He doesn't need anything, but the only thing that I would do maybe is, let me see if I can show you. Let's just see for the heck of it. I'll take a healing brush, and I'm just going to see if I can, what happens if yeah, I like that. So that was a little hot spot on his, see? And then I'll take the opacity down. A lot of times when you do something, you want to back up on it. So many times when I'll do a picture, when I'm done, I'll sit back and look at it, and then I'll group all the layers that I did, and I'll go from 100 to maybe 70%. Just knock the whole thing down just to give it a little more realistic feel. So that is, whoops. Oh, it's not doing it. How come I'm not doing my before and after? There, oh, no. Oh, I see why, sorry. There we go. So there's before and after. It's not much, right? I didn't do much, right? But it's a little bit, and that's the whole idea with retouching is you don't want to be heavy-handed, right? So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, there's two types of masks. There's there's a lot of types of masks, but there's two that I'm going to talk about. There's channel masks and there's luminosity masks. Channel masks are going into the specific color channel and making a mask from that specific color channel, like red, like people, skin, I deal with skin a lot, so skin is red, so I use the red channel a lot. The other kind of mask is a luminosity mask, which is more of a global thing where you can bring out shadow and highlight in the whole picture, and I'll show you that too. So we're going to see what a channel mask looks like. So that's the white. So I mean, so how a mask works is the light, the effect comes through, black darkens it. So black is negative and white is plus. So the skin is plus, it's almost pure white, right? So I just wanted to see that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, so there's a million ways to do Photoshop. Levels versus curves, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is what works for you. I like levels most of the time. It's just easier for me to work with. So now I'm going to take I'm going to make a levels. And if you take the Option key and push it down on that layer mask, it turns it white, right? Now I'm going to go over to Image, and I'm going to go Apply Image, and I'm going to pick just the red channel. Oh, and I got to change, the blending mode should be The only time it's an add is when you're doing frequency separation. So any other time when you go into this apply image, blending mode should be at multiply. What that does is it allows you to do the effect again, and you can multiply one on top of the next, on top of the next. If you have it on normal, it can't do that. So now I will, is that merged? Yes, okay. So there. So now what I did is I created a layer mask of his face, see? This is the red channel. Now what I'm going to do is, there we go, good. Come on, go smaller, come on. There we go. There we go, okay. So, where's the, there we go. So now, I'm going to kind of use my histogram to see how far I can go without messing it up. Now, the thing about layers is, about layer masks is we can go in afterwards and change their, not only their opacity, but we can change, like I can put, here's the mask right now. I can pull up a levels on just the mask, not levels like I would pull up a level adjustment layer. It's not an adjustment layer. It's a levels adjustment to that mask specifically, and that's with Command L. And then what happens is, if we remember that the dark mask hides and the white adds, I can go like this and go, okay, I don't want to affect my background. I just want to affect his skin. So I'm just pulling in the dark side of that levels to darken up the background. Because I really want to just work on his skin, not really anything else. So that's what I'm doing, and then I'm going to open it up like that, see? Now what I did is, I just focused the mask. So now, we're going to go like this. Let's see. And I'm just going to kind of bring his, there we go. It's not a lot. There. Come on, there we go. So, isn't this fun? Are you guys still awake? So, you had mentioned what's specularity, right? So I'm going to show you how to add some specularity into people's skin pretty easily. So if we go to pick a layer, a new layer, and we go to black and white, and you take the blending mode and you go to soft light, it kind of sucks the red out a little bit, and it kind of gives specularity to the skin. Obviously, that's way too hard. I mean, that's way heavy-handed, right? So I don't want it to be in the background. I just want it to be in his skin, that's all. So how do I do that? Well, I'll tell you how. I'm going to option click that layer, the layer mask again. I like to see my masks instantly, as opposed to seeing the image. I want to see the mask. And then I'm going to go to apply image again. And this time I'm not going to do the red channel. I'm going to do the RGB, because I want to kind of globally. I don't want to just focus on the red channel, because that's a little too much skin, right? So then I just added that, right? So now what that does is, you'll see that changed it a lot. See that? How it just went into his skin, right? I could even go more by Apple L, and shutting it down. And I'm just pulling it all the way because I don't want to affect anything but his skin. And there you go. And then I'll even take it one step further. And oops. I'll kind of paint in, what are we on here? Oh, we're on 10, that's why. Because I don't want to get it on his shirt. I don't want anything. I just want it on his face. This is one of the rare times that I ruin what Photoshop does for me. Because they're making these masks. If you notice, I don't do anything. I'm having Photoshop do it for me. There. So you can see how that added specularity into his skin? Everybody see that? It's too much. So I'm going to take it down. There. And that's about it, people. It's not a lot. The last thing I'll show you is sharpening, because people like to sharpen their images, and I discovered a really cool way to sharpen. So there's a shortcut on your keyboard. It's called a stamp visible layer, and that basically makes a snap. I know there's another way to do this in Photoshop. I don't know how to do it. I just know how to do it this way. It makes a snapshot of everything below it. It makes a new picture up there that you can work on. So stamp visible is Option Command Shift E. Right? Option Command Shift E. I said it's Option Hold on. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now I have a new layer of, like I could shut all these off and nothing. It's a new picture. So now I want to sharpen. He may not need sharpening, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. There we go. So I'm on the new stamp visible layer. I'm going to go to Filter. And I'm going to go to Sharpen, and we're going to go to Unsharp Mask. And I find that the amount, here's my starting point, is 400 and 0.8. And I don't mess with the threshold. So that's really strong, but you'll see why. So now I'll okay that, and I will then add a layer. Whoops, I'm sorry. Oops, no. Oops, nope. There we go. Now I'm going to add a layer mask on top of him, right? Because I want to affect the sharpening in certain areas, but not in other areas. Like sharpening shadows looks really bad. It blocks up shadows, it blocks up hair, it's just not good, right? So the way around that is, again, I want to see my mask, so I'm going to Option click it, and I'm going to go to Image, Apply Image. You guys see there's a pattern here, right? Apply Image a lot. And I'm going to go to the RGB layer, or I can go to the red layer, because that's the skin. That's a lot of skin. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go Command L. I'm going to do a layers on just that mask because I want to get everything off the background again, right? So I want to go just like so. And remember, so black hides and white reveals. So I'm going to sharpen his skin without getting anything else. And so that's what I did right there. So what I would do is, again, I'm going to get it off of his shirt and off hair and off of his ears, because ears don't need to be sharp. And I'm not perfectly clean, it's okay. Because I'm doing this in front of people, that's why. So let's see what that did, everybody. Come on, how come this isn't staying? There we go. So you can see what that did. That went in and just added sharpening just to wherever that mask is, and I'm going to take it down. So that's basically it. That's what I just took red out and I showed how to make layer masks. So I'm going to shut that because we're done with that one. I won't save it. So, well, before I close it, does anybody have a question? Oh, God, I'm opening up my can of worms here, huh? So, as you can see, there's not a lot. It's not to affect great change. It's just going in there and fine-tuning what you have. You know, obviously, I'm standing here at a podium doing. You want to take more time when you're doing this on your own. But then again, you shouldn't get. But you should be able to like I could rip through these like when I'm doing it on my own computer and I have my actions set up and everything. You could just boom, 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 boom. You could just rip right through these really rather quickly. And the power of the layer mask and being able to control the layer mask is really like a huge thing in Photoshop, you know? So the takeaway here would be to experiment with that and experiment with the blend diff, which if you remember the blend diff, I got it by double clicking next to the, and splitting the slider with using the option key and yeah. So those are like huge things in Photoshop. The blend diff, the apply image. I use apply image like a million times. It's like over and over again. Because why do something when you can have Photoshop do it for you? Because they're making this beautiful masks, you try to do your own mask, it looks like crap. But when you have Photoshop do it, it's a computer doing it. It's really smart. They're smart. So let me take another awkward sip. A lot better, huh? So let's see. How am I doing? Let's try another one. Where does this go to? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. 3, all right.
We're fine if you go longer.
Well, I'm sure Debbie ain't. Let's see, what else should I do?
Did you show before and after on that? Did you?
I did, but I'll show it again here.
You just what?
Beep, 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 beep. There's before, there's after. Before, after. See? It's not much, but it's a lot, So maybe the next thing I'll do. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to deal with a white background. It's kind of cool. And it's basically, what we want to do is we want to create a luminosity mask because I want to select the background and not select him, right? Because you can't, yeah, see, this client, they wanted a solid white background. This is off-white right now, so I needed to make it white. So what I'll do is, what will I do? So I'm going to pick levels, something that I can start with. And I'm going to go apply image. Oops, wait. I want to see my mask. I'm going to go to apply image. And keeping in mind that I only want to affect the background, right? So I kind of want to look and go, where's the most contrast between his skin and the background, right? There's RGB. There's red. There's green. Blue. Blue looks like it has the most contrast between the background and him. So we're going to pick blue, and I'm going to load the blue channel into here, right here. There it is, right? Now I'm going to Command L, going to select that layer, and I'm going to Command L it to bring up the levels for just that mask. And what do I want to do? I want to get rid of his jacket. I want to get rid of all that. So I just go real hard. Real. Until, like, see, I want to do it until I can see, there. I want to do it where I can see an outline of him the whole way around, right? And I could go like this just to bring the white up to make it easier too. So now we don't have a perfect mask. It's not quite perfect, but I'm going to show you a couple cool things. So we're going to take a brush and I'm going to paint in where I can. And then down here, yeah. Oops. And now, how do we, this is cool. Watch this. Come on. There we go. Oops. Oopsie. I'm not perfect because you'll see why. None of us are perfect. Now I'm going to take, now what I'm going to do is, I want to, because it's not perfectly black and white, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here. So I could go in with a paintbrush and kind of like manually do that, and it's tedious. But I'm going to let Photoshop do it for me. So I'm going to go O, which is the dodge and burn. And I'm going to dodge highlights. And I'm going to go really high. And watch this. Whee, look, I could just, that's cool, people. So I don't even have to be perfect. I'm just kind of going around, making sure it's all white, because I need to make this background white. And yeah, it's not perfect. You got to go in there sometimes with a brush after. Let's see if I can get, and then I'm going to burn the shadows at a fairly high rate. See how that fixed the shirt? It's pretty cool. Oops, too much. Okay, and then I do have to go in with a brush and just clean it up a little bit. This is when the Wacom really shines. There. Now, we just made a really complex mask. Look at that, man. And I did that in like so quick. That's a really complex mask. So now, since white reveals and black hides, now all I'm doing is affecting what I need to, which is the background. So then, what I can do is, I could go, what can I do? Oh. I can take my level up and I can pick my white point and go boop, and there you go. Boom, it's white. See how easy that was? So that's a really complex move, and I just let Photoshop do just about all of it for me, you know, just by understanding how to harness its power, you know, by creating these layer masks and by tweaking them. So this is really cool, because if you try to do that with a brush and the lasso tool, blah, blah, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just awful. You know, it's a nightmare. So that's a pretty cool tip, I must say. So, I guess we could start to do some questions, because I think that's about it. I mean, I'll keep these up. So, put my serious adult glasses on. So yeah, you sir in the back.
Have you used Lightroom? How do you compare the two, Lightroom and Photoshop?
Yeah, so Lightroom to me, Lightroom is very, very difficult to use for me. It's not intuitive at all. I use Lightroom for my shoot flow, you know. So when I shoot, now that I have the Mark III, I don't have CC. I have old Photoshop, so it doesn't support it. So I have to kind of make DNGs for my files. So I do that through Lightroom. So I import everything to Lightroom when I do a shoot, and that's where I do my global editing, you know, like the white temperature and shadow and, you know, those global adjustments. And then I batch process them into DNG, or I'm sorry, time up, back up. First I open them up in Photoshop, I'm sorry, because Lightroom does not support Mark III photos. So I have to create DNGs through Photoshop. So I select the whole shoot, double click it, open them all up in Photoshop, and then click Save As, and I pick DNG and I save them to a new folder. Then I have a new folder of my shoot with DNGs, and I open that up and import it into Photoshop, and then I do my global adjustments, and then batch process them out as DNGs again and as web JPEGs to put on my site for my clients to see. So that's how I use Lightroom.
Support CR2 files, sure.
I have old version. I'm not on CC. Yeah, I'm old version. Hey man, you know what? It's like I know what I know how to do. Why do I need? I got CS6. What do I need? You know, I'm fine. I'm good with that. Anybody else? Had questions? Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I have two-part question. The first one is, have you ever used Capture One?
I have not. I don't shoot medium format with digital. I'm just a headshot photographer. Can't afford it.
So my other question was about your workflow. I mean, the way that you work when you have somebody as opposed to a corporate shoot in your studio.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you spend with them there? And I just heard you uploaded your files for the client to see, but do you ever go through them after your shoot and have them select like their top 10, or how do you?
Sure. So first of all, I do corporate shoots in my studio as well. But for a non-corporate person, someone who's paying me directly, which is usually an actor, I have different levels of prices. You know, my prices range from $350 up to $800 for actors. And the reason I have different prices is because, aside from being economical for, you know, trying to hit more people, is that some people recognize what they need right away. So they go, okay, $500 for 2-hour shoot. I want to kill myself if I'm there for 2 hours. I'm going to want to kill myself. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. Some people know that. So, and other people are like, oh, I need 2 hours to warm up, you know, just to even become alive. So I like to have a different variety of packages so people can go, that's too long, that's too short, that's good. That one's, you know, like people can kind of feel it out, you know. And then as far as selections go, when I go through my pictures in Lightroom, I do get rid of the out of focus ones, and I get rid of derpy, weird pictures
After
too.
they've left.
Yes. So okay, so when I'm shooting someone, The digital is very powerful because you get to show them right away. I do not tether, I don't shoot tethered, and I do it on purpose because I don't want people, like tethering is great if you get an art director who's in the back watching and going, can you do this, can you do that? If I have a client, I'm tethered, they're gonna be looking at that the whole time. Click, 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 I don't want that. So I never tether, they look on the back of my camera. A lot of times I'll show them how I showed you, like 2 different pictures, because I like people to understand the power of what they're doing, you know, that they can affect great change very, very easily and very, very subtly, you know. So I'll go through the images when they leave, and people leave, when they leave, they know that there's some pictures that they're happy with. Because
You're only showing on through the camera.
through the camera, that's it.
And
And
they're not selecting, they're just saying, oh,
no,
okay, I'm
not
happy
selecting.
taking a jump.
Exactly. Like that really works good with corporate people too, because they, you know, it's fast, you know, and if you're with them for 5 minutes and I show them the pictures, you know, I'm scrolling, oh, that's good, I could see by their reaction. And if they don't react, then when I'm done, I'm like, so are there a few you like? You know, you don't have to pick now, but I want you to know that if there's a few you like. If there are, we're done. If not, we'll do some more. And people 9 times out of 10 are like, yeah, those are great. Those are awesome. Best pictures I ever had, you know. So I share minimally, you know, and sparingly when I'm shooting, just for information purposes, just to see what they're doing, you know.
You upload.
Then I upload everything to my site. On my actor's site, I use Zenfolio because they have a good system in the back. And I send them non-downloadable images. People cannot have my work untouched, yeah, and they're not downloadable. I'm very protective of my images. I don't give my images out to anybody for anything. I don't give raw images out, and I never give my whole shoot out. People get what they get. They get what they buy from me or what comes with their session. And the reason is, aside from the income stream, it's also being able to control the final product, because in today's world with Snapchat and all the filters and this and that, people, you don't know how many times people say, can you just put a filter on the blah, blah, blah? It's like, no, I don't do filters, you know? This is it's not just slap a blur filter, right? You know what I mean? So I want to give someone a product that I say, here, it's done. It's out of my hands. If they want to do something afterwards to it, they can, but the odds is that they'll stick with the finished product that I gave them.
One of your pictures, you're using shadows. Very creative, beautiful. I love it. Like
Thank you.
That long shadow in the back.
Oh yeah, the saw lady, yeah.
Now,
That was all in camera, no Photoshop.
no, it was a line.
Yeah.
Now, I want to do exactly the opposite. I have a very complex background. It's a field. The subject is very close to the it's a painting, not a field. Real field. It's very close to the background. And no matter how I move the lights, no matter what I do, I get
Shadow.
The shadow.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of it?
Get them away from the background.
Yeah, I know. That's it.
Are you side lighting with like 2 umbrellas on the side and
One on the bottom and one on top.
try 2 on the side, you know?
And then
2
get
on
two
the,
shots.
huh?
I get 2 shots.
No, not on the person, on the background. You want to light the background.
But I don't have much room. I have about this much. It's very, very narrow between them.
You then
The background.
you have, like, if you have 2 umbrellas and they're really close to the wall and they're kind of fanned in this way, I mean, that's if they're here, yeah, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get rid of that shadow. So you need to evenly light the background without hitting the person. So, because the main light is the main light. So it's tricky, and you might need to get some foam core, some V-flats, and put them in front of the umbrellas to mask the light so it doesn't bounce into the side of their face. It only bounces into their back of their head. Yeah, yeah. Yes, sure.
Do you prefer to work as a force of one where what people see is only what you do? Would you use retouchers or any back office staff other than a makeup artist?
Me? Do I use it? No, I don't. I like to do everything myself. Like, I like to retouch the images myself. I have friends who are photographers one person has somebody in the Eastern Bloc, I forgot what country, but she's really good, you know, and he has a good relationship with her. But I don't know, I just never felt comfortable doing that. So I know people are like, well, you know, when you're not shooting, you're not making money, you know, but there's a lot of time in the day, so I can retouch. Yes, sir.
Two questions. One is, who inspires you as a photographer that you follow? And the second is, what magazines do you read photography-wise, or if any at all?
Magazines, none anymore. They're terrible now. I hate them. I hate them. PDN, I'm sorry. I'm on live here. I don't like it. I don't like what their business model anymore. Don't like them. You know, in today's world, Instagram, man, Instagram. There's some fantastic people in Instagram. It's just sickening, like crazy. You know, who inspires me? The first person that comes to my mind is Richard Avedon. Huge influence on mine. Big, you know. So he's probably like number one. You know, Annie Leibovitz, I love her stuff. I like all the portrait photographers. You know, they're really good. But I really enjoy Avedon, especially his American West series. I just think that raw, what he captures, just haunting. Just love it. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes. Yes. Hi.
For the package, you said your rates. How many photos do you usually give?
How many do I shoot, or how many do I give?
Give as a product.
All my the 3 sessions that I offer to actors all come with 2 headshots. Because generally people in that business are looking for a commercial shot and a legit shot. So I offer 2, and then I archive my session for 2 years after the shoot, and an actor can order an additional image for $35, and it's retouched. Corporate is $50. Starting point is $50 for an additional image.
Okay, and then I was wondering what lighting equipment you recommend for starting out to purchase.
The sun. If you could learn how to use natural light, it's pretty good. But you know, in today's world, there's so many good, like I've never used it, but like Godox, right? It's like really cheap, man. They got like TT, you know, high speed sync and TT. It's like crazy. Like, so I couldn't give you an exact name, but I think everything is pretty good these days.
I just don't know where to start.
Don't overwhelm yourself. Start simple, you know? Like, start with nothing. Start with the camera. Seriously. Like, if you could learn how to see light, you know, without using lights, like learn how to see it, that's really powerful. So, you know, it's very easy in photography to get caught up in all the stuff, because there's so much stuff, and it's cool stuff. It's great stuff, you know? But, you know, it's not the stuff that makes great images. It's you. You know what I mean? That's why we have phones in our pockets, and that's why people are bagging huge clients with their Instagram accounts with their pictures from their phone, because it's their creativity. It's not the equipment that they're using, you know? So I would suggest go to a rental house and rent something. But the first time I took a lighting course many years ago, you know, I was so eager, because I was like in my 30s and everybody else is so young, you know, so I was like, I had all these questions, right? And I have a question. And every time I'd ask a question, he'd go, yeah, that's a hard one to answer. Yeah, well, I'll have to get back to it. That's really hard to answer. That's really hard to answer. The course was over. I'm like, any question I asked you was hard to answer. He goes, that's because you can't learn it until you do it. You got to get in there and do it and touch the lights and figure it out. He goes, so those are really hard questions you're asking me, because I can't answer them. You got to go figure it out on your own. So I did. I bought lights and figured it out. So go to a rental house. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were next.
Regarding your final package, you said you usually give 2 headshots.
Yes.
Is it digital, or do you actually print?
Good question. I used to print. Yep. I used to print proof prints with my inkjet printer, and then that just started to create more problems than it was worth, you know? Because people are like, my image didn't look like your print, because inkjet is awesome. Inkjet, it's like so vibrant, and 3-color process or 4-color, printing process is not. It's a little more realistic. So some people are like, the punch is gone. Like they took the punch away. So I don't like to do that anymore. Now I just give digital files, and I don't even burn CDs anymore. Everything's through Dropbox, or you send it, or whatever service, like it's so easy just to share stuff these days. So yes, it's all digital now. Anybody else? Yes.
What is your personal? Do you have a personal project right now? What do you tend to focus on if you're not doing portraits?
I do like people. I shoot people.
On the street?
No, like my busker project is something that's ongoing, and
Oh, right. Okay.
which when I see someone that's interesting to me, I'll approach them and have a conversation with them. It's challenging, because people are really guarded, and you can show them work on on your phone, and still they're like really guarded. Like, you want me to come to your studio and take pictures? Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. So,
One more final question.
yes, sure, no worries.
So I know you were saying that different packages have a different length of time.
Yep.
And when someone is in your studio, just noting like the really big difference between what you said about 6 minutes in a corporate setting to a pretty long time. Somebody's in your studio
Hours.
has the option. Is a lot of that time really clicking, or is a lot of that time just like meeting them, finding out what they want, hair and makeup?
Well, yes, the hair and makeup does add, it could add about an hour to a shoot, hour and a half sometimes. Sometimes the shoot is longer, the makeup's longer than the shoot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But generally, everybody's different. So, like I said before, mirroring. I mirror a lot, When someone is quiet, I'm quiet. When someone's loud, I'm loud. So I mirror my clients a lot, and that kind of dictates what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes they're quiet and they're not, you know what I mean? So if I mirror them, they feel comfortable. So so it's hard to say like, well, the first 15 minutes we talk, and then it isn't like I don't work like that, because everybody's different. Every time someone comes in front of me, it's a different person, and they have a different story. You know what I mean? So I have to deal with them differently. Some people, you can just rapid fire. Okay, let's do this. Okay, sit down. Now go over here. Now, and other people need the time. So it is really personal on the person. It's very important to read the person that you're shooting. See if you're
I feel like I'm pushing it a lot of times.
Oh, I feel like I'm pushing it all the time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of times I feel afterwards, in retrospect, after a shoot, I feel kind of bad because I pushed him so hard, because like mouth tension, I've been doing this so long, and I'm so sensitive to seeing stuff like that I call him on it like immediately, and I got to get it out of that. I got to get past that. And sometimes afterwards I feel like, wow, I really pushed him really hard, and I look at the pictures and I go, they're better than I thought, because in the moment I'm trying to get what I want to get, So I'm usually got to temper me, not them. But yeah, I feel that way too. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Are you on Instagram?
Yes.
What's your handle?
I have 2, and I don't really use them a lot, but Rod Goodman Photo and NYC_headshot. It's headshot or headshots. Yeah, sure. Yes, sir.
You said that you use a gallery to share your images, unedited images?
Yes.
That is undownloadable?
Yes.
What do you use for that?
You mean how do I make them non-downloadable?
Right.
I use Zenfolio. It's a photographer site, and they have a really good proof site, and allows you to set parameters. Most of them have that, but I've been with them for a long time, so it's like once you're with one thing. So yeah, it's just a preset that non-downloadable.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Anybody? I saw someone else's hand up quickly before. No, that's it. Going once, going twice, and yes.
What was the Instagram you said so fast?
Oh, Rod Goodman Photo. But there's so many. I mean.
And do you also use Facebook?
Yeah, use Facebook. Everything's Rod Goodman Photo. Yes, in the back.
Sorry, one other question about your lighting setup. said they were kind of old. Are they daylight balanced or are they fluorescent? Since you shoot with a lot of daylight, natural light anyway, do you use
Yeah.
daylight balanced lights?
They're daylight balanced. They're flash units, strobe units. 5500 probably. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Okay, well, I think that's it. How'd we do? A little early. Yay.